Hey guys, Avery here, and as you can see by my lovely wand, which is Lupin's, we are going to be going through my TBR for the owls, and I'm so excited. If you don't know, the owls is the magical readathon that G from Book Roast hosts every April, as it is supposed to mimic the examinations that wizards sit starting, I think it's year 3 or 4. Year 3. I'm fairly sure it's year 3. But this is basically their exams. So in order to get a certain career, you have to sit all of these owls. So that's a bad explanation, but I will link G's video in the description bar down below so you guys can check that video out, because she explains it a lot better than I can, and the amount of work that she puts into this is incredible and insane, and it's just so great. But without further ado, let's jump right in. The career that I've chosen, because this is the first official year I've done this, is healer, and to get the healer career I need to complete 8 owls. The first of them being herbology, and for herbology it is Mimbulus Bibletonia, a title that starts with an M. So for my title that starts with an M, I have 2 different options, because I was like, I don't have a book that starts with an M. And as I was looking, I actually technically have 3, but I only picked 2 of those because I'm a mood reader. So I thought on some of these, I would give myself some options. So the first of those is My Plain Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This book is a retelling of Jane Eyre, and I read My Lady Jane a couple years ago and I really enjoyed it. So I got this in an owl crate a couple years ago. I want to say 2018. I can't remember when this book came out. Look, there's even the little author card, because apparently that's what I did when I got this book. Okay, so I was right. This book came out in 2018, and as you can see by the bookmark, I did read a good chunk of it, and I remember I would read this before my European Revolutions history class when, well, I'm still at UNCG, but during that semester, and I just think I had a project and I just never finished this. I read 14 chapters and just didn't finish it. So that's ridiculous. So that's why this is on here, and I also think this will be a fast read because it's funny and I don't remember anything that happened, even though. Anyway, this book is just a funny retelling of Jane Eyre. It has to do with ghosts, and yeah, that's all I really know. This little thing says she sees dead people, so that's exciting. Looking for love in all the wrong places, and Eyre, that is, as in Jane Eyre. So I'm super pumped about this. The back says a fantastic romantic comedic, entirely, but not really, faithful retelling of Jane Eyre. You may think you know the story. After a miserable childhood, penniless orphan Jane Eyre becomes a governess at Thornfield Hall. There she meets one dark, brooding Mr. Rochester. Despite their significant age gap and his uneven temper, they fall in love. And, reader, she marries him. We have a different story to tell. And you can see their little add-ins to the description, like the age gap, they wrote yikes, and uneven temper is double yikes. It's just, I think this is going to be really fun. So I actually think I'm going to read this for them. But the other option I have for the herbology one is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. This has been on my TBR for a while. Like, I even have the sequel in hardcover format, and I've just never gotten around to reading it. But this has pictures, like pictures throughout, and it's fairly short, so I think this might be a fast read as well. So I guess we'll see which one of these that I feel like reading when the owls actually start, and when I get around to the herbology prompt, I guess. That took me way too long to figure out that word. But basically everybody knows of this book except for me, and everybody has read this except for me. But this book basically follows an orphan as he goes to an orphanage, and at this orphanage everybody has these mystical powers, hence peculiar children. That's all I really know about it. I know Miss Peregrine is the one who owns the orphanage, I believe. And that's all I really wanted to know. I know Jessie from Jessie the Reader really likes this series, and I just have never read it. So this is also one that I am considering for the herbology prompt. The next owl I need to complete is Potions, And for potions, it is Shrinking Solution. Read a book that is under 150 pages. For this, I am going to read a graphic novel, which I usually don't do, but I figured this would be a good one because I really, of the books I own, I do not own a book that is less than 150 pages. So I figured that I have a Kindle Unlimited subscription, which I just got in the last few weeks. So because of that, I decided that I would start reading a few graphic novels. And so I picked up Saga Volume 1 and I ended up really enjoying it. And so when I saw this prompt for the career that I had chosen, I was like, perfect. I know exactly what I'm going to read. And that is Saga Volume 2 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I believe Fiona does the illustrations and he wrote the story. But yeah, I really enjoyed the first installment, and I know this is something that's talked about quite often, but this is an adult graphic novel series that follows these two characters who are two different species and cultures, because this takes place in space. So we have all these cool little different species and they have different cultures, and they end up getting married and they have a kid. So this kind of sparks all kinds of problems for them. And I really enjoyed the first volume, and where it ended makes me excited for this one. So I'm definitely going to be reading this. And yeah, since I have 8 prompts, I thought that would be a good way to make it a little bit easier on myself. The next owl that I need to sit through is Defense Against the Dark Arts, which is Grindylows. And for this, you have to read a book set at the sea or the coast. I'm gonna sneeze. Allergy season is in full swing, my dudes. So before I had to sneeze, I was saying that I needed to read a book set at the sea or the coast, and I didn't really have one on my physical TBR that obviously took place at the sea or the coast, and I've had my eye on this. This is a book that came out super recently, and that is All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I pulled this picture up on Google because it was easier than me doing it in editing. So All the Stars and Teeth, I'm obsessed with this cover, and it has to do with mermaids. The only thing I really needed to know about that book was that it had to do with mermaids, because as a child and to this day, I really love Ariel. If you've seen my vlogs, you've probably seen the art print that I have above my bed, which is Ariel from The Little Mermaid, the Hogwarts Castle and Belle. So, I mean, but yeah, that's the book I plan to read for Defense Against the Dark Arts. The next owl that I need to take is Transfiguration. And for Transfiguration, the prompt is Animagus Lecture, which is a book or series that has to do with shape-shifting. So for this prompt, I chose a book that is very ambitious, very long, hence why I've picked some ones that might be faster for me to read. And that book is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas, which is book 1 in the Crescent City series. This book is chunky. Like, I think it's almost 1,000 pages or 800 pages or something like that. I think it's just at 800 pages, but it does have to do with shape-shifting. I read the first 20 pages a couple weeks ago when it first came out, so I do know that it does have to do with shape-shifting, and I don't have another book currently that I haven't read that deals with shape-shifting, so this is the book that I plan to read. Very ambitious. We'll see how this whole owls thing goes. But this book follows Bryce, who is half fae, in this Crescent City world, and her friend is murdered by demons, so she is trying to figure out what happened to her, and she teams up with this archangel named Hunt, and they have to figure out who killed all these people and why. That's all I really know about this. I didn't really want to know too much because I trust Sarah J. Maas. I've read all of her books. I really love them, and this is an adult fantasy, and I'm super pumped. She's one of my auto-buy authors. So all I really needed to know was what I just told you, and I was completely sold. But this is what I plan to read for Transfiguration. The next exam that I have to sit through is Charms. And for Charms, it is Lumos Maxima. Read a book with a white cover. I have 2 options for these, both of which might take me a hot minute to read. Both of them I tried to read on multiple different occasions and never got through them. The first being Nevernight by J. Kristoff. This is an adult fantasy book that takes place at... First book is Nevernight by J. Kristoff, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this book, and I've just never gotten my hands on it. So I bought it recently, and I still have yet to read it. I have tried to get through it the for a couple weeks now, or a couple months actually, and I haven't, so I thought this would be a good option. This is an adult fantasy book, and it follows an assassin and an assassin school, and that's all I wanted to know about it, and all I really needed to know about it. And I believe the girl can turn into shadows, or has something to do with shadows. So this is one option. The other option is really embarrassing that I haven't read this yet, and that book is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I have yet to read a V.E. Schwab book. I've never read a Victoria Schwab book. I don't know why, because all of them sound very interesting. So I've had this for a while, and I even have the sequel, and I've just never gotten around to it. So I figured this might also be a good time for me to knock this one off my TBR, but I guess we'll see which one I get into faster. But this book follows Kel, who has this coat that lets him travel between these different London. There's Red London, Black London, Grey London, and White London, I believe. And he sells magical artifacts, or is trying to find this magical artifact. So I just really needed to know about travel, magic, and London. Yay! As you can tell, I don't really like to know too much about the books that I dive into. I feel like I enjoy it a lot more when I don't know too much. So yeah, those are the two books that I want to decide between for charms. The next owl that I need to sit through is History of Magic. And for History of Magic, the prompt is Witch Hunts, book featuring witches or wizards. The obvious choice would be Harry Potter. But since I have been reading Goblet of Fire for several months, and I'm nearly done with it, because if you don't watch my vlogs, I've been listening to that periodically, the illustrated edition, because I got it for Christmas, and I just like to listen to it when things get stressed. But I only had one other book that I physically own that had witches or wizards, and that book is Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. I've had this book for a while now, and I've been contemplating on whether I want to unhaul it or not. And when I saw this prompt, I was really glad that I actually own this, because I don't think I have another book that I own physically that has to do with witches. So this is the book that I'm going to read for this, and I'll read you the first paragraph because of the synopsis, because I don't know too much about this. I know that our main character can see the truths and lies that tie people together, I believe, but the first paragraph of the synopsis says, in the Witchlands, there are almost as many types of magic as there are ways to get in trouble, as two desperate young women know all too well. Actually, I'm going to read the first two paragraphs. Sophia is a truth witch, able to discern truth from lie. It's a powerful magic that many would kill to have on their side, especially amongst the nobility to which Safi was born. So Safi must keep her gift hidden, lest she be used as a pawn in the struggle between empires. So it does sound interesting. I just don't know why I've never picked it up. But yeah, so this is what I am going to be reading for History of Magic. So actually, Truth Witch was the last book that I physically own. I am taking advantage of my little Kindle tablet, or actually I think it's the Nook tablet. I don't remember which one I bought, to be honest, and I didn't buy it that long ago. But so the next owl that I need to take is Arithmancy, and for Arithmancy, it's Magical Qualities of number 2, Balance Opposites. Read something outside your favorite genre. So the genre that I chose is mystery thriller, because I don't really read it very often, if at all, and I definitely have never read an adult thriller. And that is a genre that I want to get more into as 2020 progresses. So the book that I chose, I'm actually borrowing from my library through the Libby app, and that book is The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. And I don't know too much about this book. All I know is that two girls are forced into the woods at gunpoint. One runs for her life and one is left behind. And that's all I want to know, because I definitely want to go into thrillers knowing almost nothing. So I've heard good reviews about that book, so that is the one that I chose for Arithmancy. And also the last three that I've mentioned, History of Magic, Arithmancy, and the next one are the extra 3 prompts for the healer career. I could choose whatever 3 I wanted, so these are the 3 that I chose. I forgot to mention that earlier, but it's fine, I guess. The last owl that I need to take is Ancient Runes, and for Ancient Runes, it is Heart Rune. Read a book with the heart on the cover or in the title. And for this one, as a lot of other people, I am going to be reading A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Kimmerer. This is the sequel to A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which I have down here, right there. And I did read that at the end of last year and I really enjoyed it. And basically it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and this is book 2, so I don't want to say too much about it. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. The main character has cerebral palsy and she is a very strong character, and it follows the Beauty and the Beast story with a few twists and turns. So if that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend. And this is book 2, so I'm super pumped to read the sequel and see if I like it as much as I did the first one, because I flew through the first one, which is definitely going to be something I need with this readathon, with having to read 8 books and one of them being an almost 800-page novel. So yay! But that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know what career you are going for. If you are participating in some of the books that you will be reading, I would love to know. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any videos from me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!